with the guys? Where have you guys progressed at so far?
Yeah, I think today was probably the most balanced it's been, where offense make a play, defense come back, make a play. I thought it was just a good competitive back and forth, whereas maybe in days prior there's been more, okay, the offense has a really good day and the defense not, or vice versa, the defense has a good day and the offense is ticked off, specifically myself. But I thought today was just a good balance of guys making plays and then coming back, okay, who needs to make a play, who's going to stop the bleeding on each side when maybe the offense or defense is making more. So I think just that competitive balance maybe has progressed over the last 6 or 7 practices, and I just thought today was probably a little bit cleaner in terms of, it wasn't just like, all right, a ton of drop balls or just some of the fundamentals were cleaned up a little bit today. Was it perfect? No, but I think that's maybe an area where we progressed today.
Red zone, and certainly the growth there or lack thereof. What do you make so far of that portion of the field for Trevor?
Yeah, I think he's actually done a really nice job in the red zone, really looking back to the first time that we did it, last Friday when we did it. I think he made some quick decisions. Everything is sped up in the red area when the timing, the rhythm, the space, it's all tighter, it's all sped up. I thought he's done a nice job with his footwork in the red zone, understanding that concept. And ultimately, like, good teams in the red zone are able to run the football into the end zone, and it's hard to do that in this setting. So a lot of it is kind of geared towards practicing the pass game, the timing, the rhythm, the protections, understanding when zero blitz is coming versus drop 8. So those are the things we're getting work at, and I think he's done a nice job of executing in that area so far.
Now that they've got a few under their belts?
A little bit. You can definitely see where maybe some of those guys are working with the first group or even the second group. You see some of those guys being thrust into some of these situations, whether it be because they've earned those reps or maybe some injuries in the back end. Those guys are having to take some quality reps, which has been great, and then they get a good developmental period going on right now where they're going to get about 10 to 15 plays every day after practice. So you see those guys doing walkthroughs on their own. I go down and lift in the weight room, and they're in the indoor walking through. So they're definitely trying to do the right things to help put them in a position to be successful. Yeah, I think they've actually done a really nice job over the last, specifically maybe 3 days, just in terms of the communication, what we're asking them from a fundamental and technique standpoint. It's really hard to see maybe the grit and the finish and the toughness fully on display in these settings, just because of the rules and regulations that we have, and we're obviously trying to improve every day as a unit, offensively, defensively, special teams. But I do think that group's done a nice job, specifically over the last few days.
And what about like Wyatt and Sam, like being rookies, like trying to adjust to the system?
Yeah, I think they've both done a nice job. I'll be honest. I mean, sometimes when you don't notice OL as much, it's typically because they're doing a good job. And specifically with Wyatt, I think you just see some of the length, the size show up, especially inside at guard, playing a position a little bit foreign to him, based on last year's production. And so typically when you don't notice those guys up front, it's a good thing.
And what have you learned about him as a professional?
Yeah, look what you just said was the pro's pro. He's early into every meeting, sitting down, ready to go. Communicates out there at a really high level, wants to understand the intent behind each call. He asks phenomenal questions in the meeting room settings, especially when the whole defense is in there. Some of the things that he brings up really forces an engagement within the whole group, with the coaches, the players, different position groups. I just think he has a really nice way of communicating things that he may not understand, that maybe other people are also not understanding. And so it just kind of brings collaborative communication together that I think he's, like I said, he's a pro's pro.
Going out there, just curious on where he was.
Yeah, he just had a day off today. Wasn't feeling too well.
When Travis has been on defense, what has stood out?
Well, Milo came up to me after practice and said, can we have him more? And so that's a good thing, right? We were in the red area on Friday and didn't end up making any plays on the ball, but just the movement skills and some of the man coverages, the feel and zone, you can definitely see how natural it is for him. Still learning, still growing, still trying to learn the calls as much as possible. But when you see him just in the actual 7-on and team setting, he doesn't look out of place by any means.
This idea of players who want to get lathered up on the defensive side of the ball, maybe not be rotated out as much, actually playing for the second, third down. In your assessment of the roster from last year, how much was that a point of emphasis to ensure that 41 or 44, they're on the field as much as possible?
Yeah, that's the goal. Ultimately, you've got to. It is a fine. It's a little bit of a balance of keeping guys fresh and wanting. You always hear the term waves of rushers, but ultimately you've got to have your best guys on the field as much as possible, and especially in those money downs, whether it be in the third downs, known passing situations, and in the red zone, right? So I do think it's a balance, but ultimately if they're in the physical shape to be able to do it and to play down in and down out consistently, that will be really important for us. Those guys are going to have to be in elite shape. They've done a great job of getting to that point thus far, and think that they're on track to do those things in this fall.
Josh said that it
This
was
before about being an offensive-minded coach, and you mentioned the balance that the defense makes place. Do you feel like you're learning how to handle that side of it
Yeah.
a little bit more, or is
Yeah.
it still offense primarily?
I think last week, it was actually a comical play in the red area in 7-on where De'Ami Brown makes a one-handed catch kind of behind him like this. It seems as if he came down with the play, and I'm kind of going nuts. All of a sudden, Jordan Lewis comes out with the ball and starts running it down this way, and I start running with him. So right in that moment, I'm excited and pumped for the offense, but then had to just innately switch to being excited for the defense. So ultimately, it is a little bit of a challenge at times. I think just naturally, my mind goes a little bit more to the offensive side. If we don't have a good day or if we don't complete a ball, I'm probably going to be a little bit more upset. But still learning, still growing. He's done every day, everything we've asked him to do, he's done at a good click for us. I mean, the ability in the screen game to hand him jet sweeps, his vision so far in the run game has been good. He's done everything we've asked him to do and more. There's been a consistency. Again, one of those things where, he can shine in ways in space. It's really hard to see a runner in this setting. Are they going to get the hard, physical, tough yards? Are they going to be able to stick their foot in the ground and get those, physical, violent yards that we're going to need? That's hard to really kind of grade at this moment. He's done a great job. I don't really understand some of the stuff I've kind of seen out there. That's absolutely inaccurate.
Tweaking the OTAs from later in the day to earlier. You get a lot of feedback from the players on that and thanking you maybe.
Yeah, I think that early on you set a schedule and then you have to always, I think, be fluid, right? Like if we're just going to sit here and say we're going to bang our heads against the wall and do a long practice, what's the point? The goal is to get good quality work for them to walk off the field during OTAs feeling like they got lathered up, they got a good workout in, but not to just have them keeled over dying. That's not this phase. That's not what it's about. Do you want to stress them physically and mentally? Absolutely. But to me, this is more of a mental, above the neck time to stress these guys. So after the first couple, we kind of peeled it back a little bit and just try to kind of freshen it up a little bit.
Couple more guys.
We haven't had Josh Hines Allen come to OTAs. What's it like having a leader like him show up for things that aren't mandatory?
Yeah, it's huge. It's something that ultimately you want to be the standard for everybody, right? For everybody to want to be here with what we have available to us with this facility, with the training, with the strength and conditioning, with the nutrition. You want guys to want to be here and not have to feel like they need to go elsewhere to get quality work in for themselves. So that's been huge. It's been huge to have him here, especially what he's been going through personally with his family, and for him to be here as much as he has been really, really instrumental for our defense, and for our entire team.
As far as DBs go, obviously you're rotating guys in and out, but what do you make so far of the competition?
Yeah.
Especially on the outside.
man, they've got their hands on a lot of balls so far. I mean, just having some more vision on the quarterback and some of the zone coverages, and then shoot, when we've been able to play man, it's something that they've been doing for quite some time last year. And so they've done a nice job in man. I think Tyson's done a nice job with his hands and feet at the second and third levels. You saw Montero make a nice play again today. He's been steady and consistent. You know, that whole group has done a really good job. Jordan Lewis, Jarian Jones, that whole crew of guys, it's been competitive. It's been a learning curve, obviously. You know, when you're used to playing so much man, going back and playing a little bit of zone, as it sounds, could be a little bit challenging based on where your eyes are and the discipline, things like that. I think they've done a nice job.
You mentioned when you got hired just how impressive some of the things Brian did on tape was. Now that you're actually here with him in person, just what's it been like?
Yeah, he's got those freakish talent, man. He's got some freakish traits, and just his attention to detail in the meeting room setting, being able to answer questions. You know, you see some of his personality come to life as well. But you see when we get into competitive situations, there's definitely a little bit of an uptick. You get the feedback from some of these guys, especially when it's scripted. They're just kind of like, again, you know, why is it? So we start doing more call it, and you start to see, especially VT, come to life. The ability for a big dude like him to be able to operate in the slot, run some of the choice and option routes, but also be able to go vertical and catch the ball down the field. He's been a real pleasure to work with so far.